thing that they are not willing to admit is what happened during the 2016 election, which you and your colleagues did such a good job exposing the fraudsters and exposing the truth. We're talking about investigating the investigators. Attorney General William Barr spoke to Fox News yesterday exclusively, saying that the public must know if officials, quote, put their thumb on the scale in the Russia probe, something I've been saying for a long time, by the way. Congressman, tell us how you believe Barr is handling this investigation into the origins of the investigation into Donald Trump. That's what we want to know. Why did they spread this idea that Donald Trump was colluding with the Russians? How did this start?
Well, Maria, you've been doing great work on this, and I appreciate the kind words, but it's nice to finally have someone at the head of the Justice Department that really does want answers to the suspect origins of how all of this started. I cannot give enough credit to the approach that Attorney General Barr is taking to this issue, from the transparency with which he has allowed the Mueller report to be seen by everyone in the country, something that he did not have to do, to the decisions he made even this week by appointing John Durham, an experienced prosecutor, to look specifically at these issues. I worked with John Durham on a discrete issue during the CIA interrogation investigation back in 2010 and 2011.
So you know him.
I know him well, and he is someone that is eminently fair, but most importantly, he's someone that is driven by results, not by political motivations. He's received praise from Republicans and Democrats for his work. So that's just another good decision by Bill Barr in terms of how we're going to get the answers to these questions that many of us have been asking the questions for. The answers are there. I really appreciate his approach in putting it together, and I know at the end of the day it's all about accountability, and I feel really good that that will come.
And one of the reasons that I knew that this was hogwash, collusion, and I said it so much, was because people like yourself, you saw the classified documents, you saw a lot of the unredacted material, so you knew what had happened, and you knew that there were conflicts in testimonies, whether it be Comey versus others. Tell us what you saw and what is the most damning evidence here.
Well, so some of those documents that I've seen, those classified documents, I still can't talk about. But I'm glad that, again, there's an attorney general who's approaching this process in a way that is still allowing that information to come to light. So there was remarkable developments this week. Remember, on Sunday on your program, you and I talked about John Brennan and the fact that he briefed then Democratic Senator Harry Reid on the Steele dossier back in August of 2016, and then subsequently denied that the same Steele dossier was part of the intelligence community assessment. This week he changed his testimony and said that, yeah, it was used, but it wasn't my idea. It was because Jim Comey wanted to use it. That's inconsistent with what Jim Comey has said in classified documents. So my experience, Maria, is, you know, as a former prosecutor, when co-defendants go from saying we didn't do anything wrong to, well, I didn't do anything wrong, but I don't know about him. Jim Comey and John Brennan aren't co-defendants at this point, but the principle's the same. The stories aren't adding up, and I think they're starting to look out for themselves and turn on each other, because at the end of the day, you can't justify that the actions were taken. Very clearly, what Bill Barr is saying is it's beyond dispute that the Obama administration used surveillance tools or spying on the opposition party, the Trump campaign. The question is, did they just use those tools or did they abuse those tools? I'm telling your viewers that we have an attorney general who is committed to priority number one, which is restoring their faith and trust in our justice system. And the only way to do that is hold people accountable if they did put their fingers on the scales.
And for all of those people who are still questioning this, I don't think there's any coincidence that there are now 3 investigations into this. You've got John Durham, you've got the AG, obviously appointing John Durham, you've got the IG report, Michael Horowitz, and then you've got Lindsey Graham. He's going to do a deep dive on the FISA abuse. What are you expecting from the Horowitz report, Michael Horowitz from the IG? Inspector General.
So actually, I talked to Inspector General Horowitz on Saturday to get an update in terms of timing. He didn't share content with me. But I will tell you, as someone that has, one of the few members that has seen every FISA document, and making sure, again, Bill Barr wants to make sure that Inspector General Horowitz has all of the information he needs. But I will tell you, I'm expecting him to find that there were problems with the application and the renewals in the FISA. I expect him to recommend reforms. There are documents documents that I have seen that really cannot allow for any other conclusion. I will just tell you that I'll be shocked if he does not find that Jim Comey's FBI and Loretta Lynch's Department of Justice did not use the FISA process properly, and will recommend reforms to make sure that doesn't happen again.
And maybe criminal referrals.
Maybe.
Congressman, it's good to see you.
You too.
Thank you.